Yeah, we back. I really appreciate everybody coming in. How you doing today, Kobe? What's up? Oh man, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Can everybody else hear me? Okay, see, there you go. You can't. You're a little shy today.
Who? Nah, it ain't that. I think I had to turn my mic on. Man, that intro brings back lots and lots and lots of memories, man. Very
Yeah,
fond memories.
yeah, yeah. Uh, it's been a long time, man. I'm really thankful, man. I'm excited. I don't think I want to go ghost no more. I think I'm about to get back in my full groove of just talking my ish and being able to say how I feel. I always feel like we are forward thinking on this community. I feel like we're always coming up with cool ideas. Shout out to Joel Garza, man. He was actually one of the first person in the chat said, "Man, damn, finally, long time." And I really appreciate you coming on and having a good time with us tonight. We're gonna talk about a lot today. But what you thinking, Mark? What you thinking?
Nah, man. Shout out to Joe, man. He's always first in line, ready to go.
Yeah,
I met him in person a couple times already. I think the last time was there in Conroe. He's bringing the heat. Man, I looked up, I blinked a couple times, and some of the cars that he allowed me to see while I was in
yeah.
Conroe, I was pretty amazed, man. So shout out to Joel. Shout out to everyone that's logging in with us today. Like they always say, you can be anywhere you in the world, but you're here with us. So
That's
I'm gonna go
right.
ahead and knock that real quick.
Hey, that's what's up. What's up, Zach? What's up? Everybody on Instagram, if you want to actually be seen in the chat, you got to follow us on the YouTube channel. That's how you get a chance to be on the big stage. But I appreciate you guys watching even on Instagram. But make sure you guys click and subscribe on the YouTube channel. We got a lot to talk about today. But besides that, we're going to bring back a guest. We got a cool guest. It's actually a friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine, actually, which is crazy because people think that I just, a lot of these guys like Wiz and the other guys. I ain't gonna say his name yet, but y'all probably should kind of get who it is. I've never had him on my show. I've never like we haven't had him on the show, so I
Oh
feel
yeah,
bad.
he's been on here with us before.
No, he hasn't.
I
I don't
think
think
so.
so. No, I don't think he has. Man, I'm gonna have to check the tape, but I don't think
Hey,
he
I
has.
like your hat. I like your hat, man. If anybody was hanging out with us season three, shout out to Chewy, man. He's really elevated my
What
hat
up?
game. I don't think that I've wore as many hats since that show than I wore previous my whole entire life. So I think I'm
Hey,
up to like 50 hats now. Obviously, it's not to the thousands of hats that Chewy has, man. But shout out to Chewy, man.
oh man, shout! Look, this is just an example. I'm not even playing. Chewy, I ain't playing no more, Chewy. I ain't playing no more. See me, Chewy. We out here. Hey, look, I'm not gonna even lie to you. When I was younger, I collected hats, but I really didn't know I was collecting hats. I really didn't even know it was really a thing, right? And so like embracing a different hobby, a different community allowed me to go back to my childhood or when I used to actually buy hats back when they were cheaper though, right? They were like $25. Now they're like $60,
Yeah.
right? And because of you, my wife was really mad. She's like, "Are you just gonna keep buying hats?" I'm like, "Man, blame Chewy. He got 700 of them."
Yeah. Hey man, so that first week after the show, hot hats just started popping up.
Yeah,
They started popping up on Facebook. They started popping up on Instagram. I started getting all these ads. I
yeah.
think that first week I bought like 10 hats and spent $750.
See what I'm
And then
saying?
they all came in at the same time, and my wife was like, "Where did all these hats come from? You can only wear one at a time."
Yeah,
But man, I spent so much money on hats, and for a lot of you guys that are chiming in right now, we do got a set of topics that we talk about. But
yes,
honestly, we keep it as a buck as we can.
yep,
Sometimes we ad lib as much as possible. We give people as many roses as we can because without you guys, there's no us, right? And we
absolutely.
just and we just hope that you guys are able to kind of listen and grasp some of the gems that we give out and then carry on. Honestly, we don't know everything. So when you guys do chime in and have topics or questions that you guys want us to answer, look, we're always going to answer them. Good, bad, indifferent, uncomfortable. We always have a take, whether it's the left or the right side. We're always going to keep it our 100% authentic selves.
Yes. And I actually really like the fact of I like being controversial. I like being honest and open. So I'm gonna talk about a whole lot this segment, good and bad, and I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big boy. I can handle it. But I ain't gonna lie to you. I want to say a special thank you to the people who reached out to me personally and have told me, man, we want to see you back. We want you to get back in the spotlight. We want to see you back in the, in the good graces of the people and being able to be out here and do what we love, right? Which is educating people, talking about a space that we love, and trying to build our community. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I'm
A
really
lot has
happy about
happened.
that, huh?
A lot has happened since season 3, man.
Right.
Honestly,
Yep.
we have like the ninth iteration of Culture Collision. It feels like, and I'm doing cards full time now. So
There you
this
go.
isn't a side gig for me anymore. This isn't a side hustle. If you go back to season 1, 2, and 3, we talk about knowing your lane and doing all the research that goes into any successful business.
Yeah.
And now it's more or less practicing what you preach, man. So
Yes.
if you do see us in the streets or at the shows or wherever you run into us, man, feel free to reach out, ask questions. What you see is what you get, man. We're not any bigger and better than anybody out there. And we always answer the questions as they hit our inbox.
That's correct. Also, I didn't say the person's name, but I wanted to say Mr. Trade Night. TK Mr. Trade Night sent me, man, a long message talking about how important I was to the community and being able to speak my piece on this space, especially when there's a lot of people out here who, everybody gives their opinions, right? And everybody's entitled to it. And I want to talk about a lot of that through the course of the show. I don't want to ruin it yet. We do got a special guest, so we can go ahead and chime in and get on our next topic because we got so much to talk about, so much to cover. I just wanted to say, TK, Mr. Trade Night, the guy who literally hit me up last week, and I was like, we were trying to do the show 2 weeks ago. It didn't happen. It was frustrating, right? Well, like people don't understand when you doing something full time and you still got to be a husband, I ain't gonna say wife, but a husband or a boyfriend or father, right?
Yeah.
A lot goes into that. Like you had to go to your son's baseball practice, I remember, every Tuesday and still working a regular job. And now you're doing sports cards full time. Things are changing and we're all learning from that, right? So man, it's like it's tough. And a lot of times you fight for that me time, but I ain't gonna lie, like I feel like I've been obligated to the people. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do miss it. I hate I haven't really been here, but I ain't going nowhere now. I think this is where we at. We're gonna be here for a minute. We're gonna make this better. We're gonna bring in some special guests this season. And now Mr. Wiz said it went from Anakin to a Jedi. I hear you. Shout out to everybody on the Instagram page, man. Follow us on YouTube so you can go be a part of the club. But further without ado, we're gonna bring in a special guest. You wanna announce who he is, or you want me to just bring him on?
Man, go ahead and bring him on, man. Once you see his face, he don't need no introduction.
Hey, without further ado, we're gonna bring on my boy, Mr. Get It and Flip It. What
Y'all
up?
know what it is, man. What's good? How y'all feeling?
Man, we good. We good. I mean, cool part about actually like doing this show when you can bring on friends that you actually really know, it doesn't make it like it's a hard situation. Like if I brought on somebody like a CEO of another company, like we've had those people in the past, you know what I'm saying? It's a little different. It hasn't been like it wasn't like I feel like it was a little bit more like I gotta be making sure I don't say this, I don't say that. With you is like, hey, we kicking it.
Conversation. Yeah,
We
it's a
having
different conversation.
100%, 100%.
For
So
sure.
we can also educate the people and we can have real conversation. And like, the one thing I love about before you talk about everybody, like before you talk about yourself, right?
Yeah.
Um, I want to say why it's special between you and Wiz is because y'all are friends that I brought in and you guys have excelled to the next level.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you guys have bust y'all butt to get to the next level. So shout out to you guys first. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's important for people to know you and Wiz's stories. You know, even though like people haven't given you guys a platform that maybe you guys deserve. So that's why y'all here, right?
For
And
sure.
that's why y'all part of this platform. If they don't want to invite us to their table, we're gonna make our own table.
We carved a square somewhere.
Hey, we gonna do how we can do it. So without further ado, Mr. Get It and Flip It, tell everybody who you are, and also correct Mark by telling them you ain't been on the show before.
I have not been on the show before, Mark. But y'all know what it is, man. Mr. Get It and Flip It. Y'all see me at the shows, man. Slow money, better no money, no talk, just hustle, man. One day at a time, man. We here to prosper. We here to win. You know what I mean? The journey has been beautiful. The story's been beautiful, and it's just gonna keep going, man.
Yeah, that's correct. So if you want to, you can tell people how I met you. You can tell people how you got into this space. Uh, tell people, I mean, tell people your story, man. Because honestly, what I want you to do is inspire someone like yourself. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? So talk to the
Um,
people
all right. So I met Ralph maybe like 2008, 2009.
before then.
Um, was it or was
I
it
met
eight?
you
It was
before my daughter was born.
no. It wasn't before. No. I don't think so. Because I moved
All
back
right,
to because listen, I moved back to Atlanta after college in 2007,
all right, bet.
and I started working for AT&T in October of 2007.
Okay, cool. Keep going
Yeah.
with your
So,
story.
but yeah, but we worked at AT&T together, and then the relationship just grew from there. Like I had a strong connection with Atlanta, and I believe at the time a best friend of yours from was best friends with little Jay's sister. And I even remember me and Ralph a few times drove back and forth to Atlanta. Ralph is the one that actually got me into producing music. I had another friend, Neff, that I met during college that got me into rapping, but actually producing and engineering music and taking it serious as a business was 100% Ralph. You know what I mean? Like, I could tell you a story. I had a, when we was working at AT&T, we was making, commission checks, and I ended up buying a set of rims. I had a 2000 Regal, green Regal. And I ended up buying rims, and Ralph was so mad because he was like, "You just told me a few days ago you wanted to do music." He was like, "You just literally spent on rims, which you could have bought a whole studio for." And then my next commission check, I ended up going to Apple, get a computer, went to Guitar Center, and ended up buying my first studio, which is crazy, from Chase, which is somebody that I had brought along recently. So it's crazy how everything all comes full circle. Like I didn't, like I said, 2000, I believe it was 2008 we met. I think that's when you got transferred from Elmwood Park to LaGrange.
Okay, you
Yeah.
probably right.
And then I was working AT&T for about like 8.5, 9 years. And it just, the corporate structure just wasn't for me at that point. Like I had a few mental breakdowns, and fell into a little depression. So I definitely had to get out of that situation. Then literally after I left AT&T, I moved to Atlanta. And then that's when everything with cars kind of just started opening up. Ralph opened that door, and I remember being at Ralph's house, and he was like, "Man, he was playing, I think, Call of Duty, or he was playing Madden or something." He was like, "You should start buying cards." And I really wasn't paying attention at first. You know what I mean? And then it kind of grew into buying wax and then taking the profit from wax. I mean, me and Wiz used to run around getting wax together, taking the profit from wax and going into shows, and then reinvesting that money from wax and turning and burning and wash, rinse, repeat every weekend. Where to the point we outgrew the purpose of getting wax and then strictly was just focused on buying cars.
Dang, that's a great success story.
Yes, sir.
What you do last week?
I was on a I was on a cruise. Me and my baby went on a cruise last week in the Bahamas. We went to the Bahamas, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Cozumel, Mexico. But we was in Miami for like 2, 3 days before that, just chilling. So
That's dope. And we do sports
yeah,
cards for a living. That's a
for
blessing.
a living, for a living. And I tell you this, man, working for AT&T, I made outstanding money. Outstanding money. I wasn't able to live like this working a 9 to 5, and I was easily clearing 75, 80,000.
No, well, I don't want to go into too much numbers, but I
Go,
appreciate you
go
telling.
ahead.
But I appreciate your honesty.
My fault. My
All
fault.
right, so look, so I mean, Kobe, you did I overset? You want to say something? Did I?
Man, look,
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, man. I believe in giving people their flowers while they can still smell them, right? Uh, I haven't known Mike since 2008, but Mike was Mike Ralph in my phone for a minute, right? And I remember my first conversation with Mike was about potentially grading a few cards, right, that he had. We did get that first order in, got him back out to him. Hopefully, he got all tens. If not, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
But all I can say is, man, I've been actually side by side with Mike at a couple shows, man, and just the way that him and even Chase, with Chance, also
Chase.
the way Chase, the way that they move and they operate at these shows, man, it's they took what me and Ralph were doing, and it's like they took it to another whole nother level,
I agree.
and it's like the hustle, the grind, and really understanding that it's okay to make $5, $10, $20 on a deal
True.
sometimes, right? And actually use that model to create what they have today.
Mhm.
And look, Mike's even had me looking at myself in the mirror because I thought I was fair and I paid good. And then my interaction with Mike, man, dude, if you see him at a show and he's offering you a price, it's because it's good, right? And if you walk away from it, you probably aren't going to make more than what he's offering you at the show. So,
Yeah.
shout out to Mike and what you've accomplished, man. Kudos to you and the team that you have there, man. And all I can say is wonderful things about you, man. So,
I appreciate that.
definitely much respect there.
Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate you guys. Yeah. So blessings to you, Mike. I always say, you know, between you and Wiz, I mean, you guys, I've told, I ain't gonna say hundreds of people about the card space, but I've told enough people to
I
where I
know a
feel
number of
like
people for sure.
people have said, "Oh man, I'm interested in getting into the space," and then oh man, I'm confused. So shout out to people like you, Wiz, and people who can take the time to embrace it, right? And it takes a lot of study. It takes a lot to hone in on the craft. You will make a
Sure.
lot of mistakes. You will buy stuff. You will lose money. So for the people out there who are buying and investing and just want to be a collector, whatever, right? Be okay.
Of
Sometimes you will
course.
lose money, but
And it's okay.
sometimes you will
It's
win
okay.
too. Yeah, and
If
it's
you're
okay.
if you're putting your all into any kind of business, especially when you're first starting it, the expectations you have to understand. You're gonna take L's, but some of those L's are necessarily losses. They're lessons. You know what I mean? Because you
Yeah,
probably won't make it twice. So I wouldn't necessarily say losses. It just you had to learn. You know what I mean? And the best experience, I mean, the best teacher is experience. You know what I mean? The only way to get experience is to go through it. So
yep. All right, so look, I don't want to talk too much about this show because I don't want. We
uh,
got a lot of topics we want to definitely cover. We're already 20 minutes in.
for
Uh,
sure.
did anybody get a chance to watch the WNBA last night?
I didn't watch it. I just saw some of the results. You know what I mean? I am an Angel Reese fan, and I won't lie to him. I'm a fairly good Caitlyn fan as well too. Um, so I just wanted to see where they went. So I was surprised that she that Angel went to Chicago. I want to see what she's going to do. I think the only and I think I had said something to you earlier, Ralph, when we was on IG. I think the only downside to Angel's game is just the offensive presence.
Yeah,
So I mean, but I think she's going to the pros. She's expected to be a little bit better offensively. You know what I mean? But she might not be that kind of player. You know what I mean? She might not be like Caitlyn is an offensive. You know what I mean? Like beast. You know what I
mm.
mean? Like she could shoot out the gym. To me, you know what I mean? Like she's shooting Curry range just to start off. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So
So look, I don't want to cover too much of the analytical. You're right though, but
yeah.
keep that thought. But let's talk about something a little bit deeper, right?
Okay.
WNBA draft and WNBA on the move, right? I want to talk about two different scenarios between you, Kobe Collector, and you, right, Mike? So two things happen. The first thing that happened was roughly about a couple years ago, high school basketball players were eligible to make money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you
High
watch what
school or
happened?
college? College,
I'm sorry,
college.
high school. High school.
High
High
school.
school too.
I
NIL
don't
was
think
high school. I
I
thought
don't
it
I'm
think
was.
sorry.
I don't
Some
think they
no
can
no.
make
I
money in high
think
school.
no. If I'm
It's
not
It's
college.
mistaken,
college.
well, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, I think some people in high school are making money. And all right, let's just say college, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Say
college.
college
Yeah,
can make money. Okay, let's just start
NIL.
off with
Yep.
college. Okay, I'm not 100% sure, but I know people like OTE exists, and I know they pull high schoolers. So that's why I said that. Um, so let's just sit here and say something happened a couple years ago where professional college players were able to make money.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Also, another thing happened Soldier Boy years ago. Social media happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys look at what happened with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and a lot of other basketball players like Mikey Williams and all these other guys who are social media, who have great social media presences, right?
Right.
It
Okay,
made them
Brooklyn
bigger.
Finance on IG said high school players can't get NIL deals. So
You said they
They
can?
can.
yeah,
That's
It
what I
must not
thought.
be a lot.
Yeah, that's
I
what.
didn't know that. I thought it was college.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. So look,
Yeah.
so because of that, these younger guys have more visibility.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're also making way more money than they
100%.
could. Like even now, like with the situation with Caitlin Clark having to battle the situation with the big three when she was offered $5 million versus what the salary she's making right now, right? The cool thing about this is, which is why I put WNBA on the move, is does that help the WNBA grow and excel? Because we just literally just witnessed the most successful WNBA performances in the last couple years, in the last 2 years for sure. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't watch WNBA typically. I never really was one of those guys that was like, hey, let me watch the Chicago. I don't remember what they call it, the Chicago Skies, I think is what it is. But
Mm-hmm.
guess what? With Reese playing on that team and the girl that won from South Carolina, I might buy season tickets.
Yeah, I will watch.
Just being honest with you, I would watch them. And
Yeah.
so it's because we got a chance to see her, Angel Reese, grow from the last year, Caitlin Clark grow from last year. I think that, in my opinion, which is why I'm saying, let's think deeper than just the numbers and the stats, because we know some of these women are good.
Yeah, for sure.
Can how long will it take the WNBA to get to NBA? Because we literally just looked at this salary.
Well,
It's gonna take a while.
Well, we just looked at the salary. Look, I mean,
well, I
Caitlin
don't
Clark,
know. I
her
don't know
jersey
if it'll
sold out in
take
the
a
first
while.
1 minute of her being drafted.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll take a while because here goes the honest truth. The NCAA women's game, right, with Caitlin Clark outdid any of the men's NCAA games, which
I
is
didn't watch
unheard
none of
of,
that. I didn't care about it.
right?
I get you on
I
that.
didn't
I get
care
you on
about
that.
it.
But we're talking that your audience would literally have to be as big as what the NBA is. That's why they get those contracts and those TV
Yeah.
deals.
Well,
But
but
I think
Like
with
you're
well,
talking
Caitlin,
look. But
about,
what
you're
I'm
talking
saying
about,
though is,
you're talking
Mike,
about
though is
contracts got to be like Stephen Curry's contract is what, 250 million for 5 years.
I agree.
Like
But
that's
it was
it took
Caitlin
them a
Clark.
long
Is
time to
Caitlin
get
Clark
that
going to be
deal.
the first? Who's going to be the first major player to get $20 million in the WNBA jersey? It's going to be Caitlin Clark.
yeah, look how much they wanted
I
to pay her
mean,
to go to the Big Three. I don't know if that was a real offer or not, but they understood the amount
of
of
money she's going to
audience
draw.
that she was going to bring. Right? You
hundred
saw what
percent.
she did in the NCAA tournament. I think because of her, right? And it sucks because honestly, there was probably a lot more gifted, talented women basketball players that came before her. Shout out
Mm-hmm.
to Coop with the comments, right? Back to back to back to back champions, but she was a baller, right? And there was so many after that. Even the last couple of drafts, there was so much.
Yeah.
But I think with the introduction of social media and maybe even TikTok, right, with how much exposure that they have now because of these different platforms,
For sure.
you're able to see this audience, being generated to watch them, which honestly, if that translates into the WNBA, then you're going to see the sponsors come in. You're going to see the ESPNs, the NBCs, the ABCs come in and, buy that advertising space to be able to market. And I'll say it, Caitlin had the Zion effect. Look how everyone was watching Zion Williamson. Like everybody saw him bust the shoe open on live TV, right?
Yep.
Because everybody was tuning in, and that's kind of what you saw in Caitlin Clark.
I
She
agree.
brought everybody to watch her.
She
Which,
brought the
Yeah.
star power.
Well,
yeah,
I will say this. Like literally, these girls have made it very interesting for me. I know it's probably going to take a while before they get to NBA level. I mean, let's be real. It's going to
yeah,
take them a while. But
Like I said, it took them a while. It took the NBA a while to get to
yeah,
$250 million contracts,
yeah.
$260 million
But
contracts.
but I will say this though, with with the way social media is and the way that other markets work, right? Because I'm gonna be real with you. I seriously believe that Nike's probably gonna give Caitlyn $100 million, even though like
maybe more.
she signed for exactly. So that's the whole point. So
So let
because
me
of
ask
that,
you, right?
yeah.
You're talking Nike. She comes out with her first signature shoe. You gonna rock them?
No, but I will. But but I said to you that I would probably buy season tickets to the Chicago, whatever they
Yeah,
called. I don't even remember
Chicago Sky.
the
I mean,
Sky,
if they
Chicago
hot,
Sky.
maybe we'll see. It depends
I
on the
mean,
color schemes.
I would,
I'm genuinely actually interested though. Like, and
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that like I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll probably watch the game like they first when they. I'm actually kind of excited for the season to start. I want to see. I really want to see uh that first game between Caitlin Clark and Reese. What that's going to be like? Because literally, in
I wanna
Chicago, Indiana, so close. It's a
exactly.
good place for a rivalry, right?
But I'm not super vast on WNBA, you know. But I think the thing is, it's the storyline that we've been able to see. So to kind of piggyback off what you guys are saying with the social media, with the whole thing with the NC with the championship last year, that
That's
was a
what I'm
big
saying.
thing. That whole storyline where I don't think there's been a storyline like this in the WNBA, right? So yeah, I think it's going to be an epic career
I
for the
mean,
pair of them.
hey,
I can't wait to see
some
what
can
happens.
argue that it's the reincarnation of Magic Bird,
And
right?
Larry, yeah,
Yep, that's what
Larry and
somebody
Magic.
just said in the chat. Somebody said that on Instagram. I went back and forth. I try to go back and forth between everybody. Chicago Mike said NBA has taken the hit every year. WNBA has never been profitable. I definitely
Yeah,
understand that, and it's probably the NBA is probably
that's what I'm
paying
saying.
for the WNBA at this point,
100%.
but they want to see it win though, and I think
Right.
we need to see stuff like this. I mean, shoot, the Indiana Fever probably sold more Caitlin Clark jerseys yesterday than
Oh, they sold
probably
out.
They probably
they
sold
like
out.
they probably made her salary just off her jersey sales.
Yeah.
Facts. Facts.
so it's like they're gonna have to pay it forward at some point, and it's probably gonna be after her contract's up. And she'll, I imagine that she's probably gonna be the first person to get a crazy contract. And I mean,
Yeah.
crazy contract could be $20 million.
I think her and Angel for sure. They'll
Yeah,
probably be the first ones to get a fairly good contract.
yeah. Well, that's just my 2 cents when it comes to the WNBA. I do feel like they are headed in the right direction. I am looking
For
forward to
sure.
catching a couple games this year. Chicago Sky is going to come to Atlanta. I'm definitely going to go to that game because they're pretty
For
cheap.
sure. Super
Um,
cheap.
and also, if everybody in the community, man, support the WNBA, especially if it's a team you're interested in, if you can find it genuinely interesting. I believe that the future's in good hands when with these young women out here.
I, I want to see what that translation is going to look like now, though. I also want to see what the box of Prism WNBA is going to spike up to
Oh, I need
with
that
the
one on
presence
one.
of those two. And I mean, I want a Prism Gold now, honestly.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm
there
with
you
that.
I
go.
do. I want to see how Bowman U and Prism, how those two kind of clash, and see what those multipliers are going to be on an NBA or a WNBA license, uh, Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark. I think you're probably not going to be able to find it. I think it's going to sell out.
You see what I'm saying?
I think it
Those
is going to
boxes
set
get
record.
so what's a box? What's a box of Prism gonna cost? What's a box of Prism gonna cost? $800.
I mean, I think it's going to be a lot more than it is right now.
For
I
sure.
think it's like $250 to $300 now.
Yeah, it's going to be at least $500-600. I think a box, if not more.
Maybe so
Well,
go maybe 1,000.
well, I'm looking forward to Prism, and I'm also looking forward to next season watching these young women play. Shout out to the women out there, man,
Yeah.
and the hobby, man. Hopefully, bring in more women collectors too. That's another aspect of this space that's missing. More women collectors. Maybe women collectors can like WNBA players. We need them to be successful. That's that way we can bring in new people. So,
The
somebody
fact that
said
we're talking
Westcard
about
Co
it right
said five
now,
ninety nine.
I
He
think
must know
should.
something we don't know. You said what?
Yeah, I think the fact that we're talking about it right now, and not necessarily that we have the biggest platform right now, but just the fact that it's a conversation, it's a barbershop talk, so
For
to
sure.
speak. I think that speaks volumes. Because honestly, before today, I mean, how many times did we talk about WNBA? And like I tell you, Sabrina Ionescu, right, the one that competed with Curry in the 3-point contest. I
Yeah,
mean, there's some ballers out there. So
For
it's
sure.
going
absolutely.
to be very interesting to see who's going to be the first woman NBA player, right? I think that we're inching closer
Man, I don't
to
know
that
about
becoming
that
a
yet.
reality.
I think they tried to entertain that though All-Star weekend when they had Sabrina versus Steph.
Yeah,
But I don't think that happens, man. I think
no,
we're probably a
keep it
long,
separate.
long, long time from that trying to happen.
Yeah,
But I mean, I was thinking that what's the name of that girl that got arrested in Russia? I thought that she was gonna be a super
Jenner,
dominant and dunking
uh,
on people.
Brittany
I was looking
Griner.
forward to her being like dunking
Brittany
every
Griner.
game.
I'm sorry.
Brit, exactly. I was expecting her to be a dominant force and dunking on people every game, but that didn't happen. So I mean, we'll see. We're wishful thinking. We'll see what happens. But shout out to the WNBA, and the draft was amazing. Looking forward to next year. That's my 2 cents. Next topic, guys. I know we're already 30 minutes in. We're not even halfway through the show yet, guys. So let's just, I'm trying to speed the process up while still trying to give up as much information about each topic. The next
Well,
thing up
shout
is
out to Zach and shout out to Vic, man. Thank you guys for chiming in. Yeah, definitely for season 4, episode 1, couldn't have thought of a better guest to have on. So thanks for chiming in, Vic.
Hey, I will
Shout
say
out
this.
to
West
Vic.
Card Coast said there's not enough cool, nerdy chicks. I disagree. You ever been to Comic Con? That's all I'm gonna say. Hey, but check it out. So next topic is Fanatics, right? Fanatics about a week ago announced that they were doing their own show.
Mhm.
Also, it's been rumored that I think Michael Rubin has said something along the lines of, "Hey, we're going to 10x the hobby." I'm going to show you guys a clip. I want to know your take on it, and we're going to talk about some things about Fanatics, and we're going to talk about them being able to potentially 10x the hobby. Check this out.
It's Tom Brady, and I'll see you at Fanatic Fest NYC.
Hey, it's Sabrina Ionescu, and see you in August.
Okay. All right. So, all I'm gonna say is, I mean, what do y'all think? What do y'all think? What y'all think of that?
I'm curious to see what it turns out to be. You
I
know?
mean,
Yeah, you got to hold your breath. I mean, look, I think I was talking to Ralph, and anybody that knows earlier episodes and seasons of Prism Gods, man, me and him can't talk during the day because we give out too many gems, and then we have to regurgitate that stuff on the show. But my take on the whole Fanatics exposure or the Fanatics clash that they're bringing, I honestly think that it's a great tool, a great resource for the hobby. I think the fact that they're bringing athletes closer to the public more than they ever have before
I
speaks
agree.
volumes. I was giving Ralph a story earlier where obviously I'm Kobe collector. Um, my biggest dream and one of my goals that I wanted was to do a meet and greet with Kobe. And I always thought I had chance. And obviously, we know that life is short, and you can probably never put off stuff for tomorrow that you can do today. But honestly, there wasn't a lot of meet and greet events unless you lived in LA, California. And they did a pop up, and you flew out there with advance notice to meet them, maybe, right? But the fact that they're bringing these athletes, right, as long as they're signed to Fanatics, which almost every athlete now is going to be signed to Fanatics, I'll be curious to see the next LeBron James meet and greet experience, right? And maybe they do have one of those Willy Wonka experiences too, where they start inputting those tickets inside of boxes where you can come meet, your favorite sports star. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how they and where they take it. But obviously, definitely looking forward to it.
100%.
all right. So, Mike, you ready? Go ahead. You spoke your
No,
piece. You good?
no, no. Yeah. I mean, I 110%. Just to say what Mark was saying, like I agree with you on that.
All right, I'm
Every
about to shut this down real quick. You ready, Mark?
let's see what you say. Let's go.
Hey, Mike. The same weekend as Men Collective is the East Coast Nationals in White Plain, New York. Which one you going to?
If it's mint and it's the East
Yeah,
Coast National,
yeah. It's the same weekend. I tell you right now, it's the same weekend. Which one you going to?
I'd probably go to if the Mint was still going on, I'd go to the Mint.
No, I'm asking about the Fanatics. I'm sorry, Fanatics is going on the
Yeah.
exact same weekend as the
Oh,
East Coast
as the
Nationals in
yeah,
August. Which one are you going to?
I'm gonna hit Fanatics.
Really? I didn't
I'm
expect that.
curious. Yeah, I mean,
You know,
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you, boss. Like I'm curious to see what he's gonna do. I'm curious to see what that show's gonna be about. You know,
okay,
especially being the first one, I would give it a try. You know what I mean? It might be something. I'm not expecting the Mint. You know what I mean? Like I know the Mint was more like an expo. Like I'm expecting an actual card show with other aspects along with it. You feel what I'm
okay,
saying? So
all
I'm
right,
curious to see if it's the first one. You know what I mean? So
okay.
yeah,
Well, I had a conversation with Wiz. I wish I could have recorded and played it, but Wiz pretty much said he's going to any other show besides that show. So,
I got you.
but that's just my, two cents. I ain't putting them too much on blast. I'm just gonna say that, from everybody doesn't agree with what Fanatics is doing, right?
That's fair.
And I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit because, for one thing I will say this first. I love the direction that they're going. Right, it's very similar to my vision. Right,
Hmm.
if I had a blank check, would my show be similar to Fanatics? Probably.
I
If I had a
agree.
blank check, I don't have a blank check, so that's Coach Collision.
Right.
but we'll get there, right? We're gonna be better than that. All right.
100%.
So I'm just gonna say that I think that they definitely should. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do. I did buy VIP tickets because I did want to figure it out myself. I wanted to be included and figure out the whole motions. And then, okay, let's see how you change it next year, right? How do you grow from this next year? Or is the exact same thing that we get to see at the Nationals every year, right?
Right.
Which that's the question. Is it the same thing that we see every year from that, or is it something that's going to be really, really different that's going to bring in people? Because the main question that we're talking about right now is, can Fanatics 10x the hobby?
Yeah.
That's the
And I
that's
think
the
that
that's
that's the
the, that's the main
exposure,
question.
right? So I think for me, and definitely want to check it out. But I think for me is you're always forecasting, right? You're always looking ahead.
Right.
You're trying to see what innovations. And honestly, Fanatics is ruling the hobby once all the licenses are under that one umbrella. So
Exactly.
for me, it's a gauge into the future, and especially if this hobby is what pays your bills at the end of the month. You owe it to yourself to really take a dive into what the future holds, and I think that
Facts.
this is, I guess, the first iteration of
Yeah,
the direction that they're moving in. Right?
that's correct.
We saw what happened when Upper Deck introduced Exquisite, right? And then they introduced those tickets where you could come and you could build your own Exquisite pack, right?
Man, bring me back to that.
Yeah, and so I think that if you start to introduce limited, once in a lifetime opportunities,
Products.
right?
Hmm.
And put that into boxes, what are those boxes then going to sell for, right? And so you see now what happens whenever they place bounties on products, and everybody runs and they start opening products. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to give out too many gems. They're probably going to have to pay me for these ideas
See what I'm saying?
road. But I will say that there's ways, and there's things that they can do to enhance this
The
experience
experience.
for
Right.
us.
I agree.
There's a way to bring the collector back. All right, right now we're so grindy, we're so focused on money, where that
I agree.
collector aspect of it is getting taken away from us. But
100%.
there's ways to start slowly gravitating us back to the collector's realm again, because honestly, everybody's worried about comps, right? Everybody's scared to be the comp at times, and because of
Man.
that, we're not really realizing the fullest potential of what this great space can be.
Mm. I agree with that. Those are really good points, Mark. I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like
Yeah.
you took my answer, but it's
You hit
okay.
it right on the head.
Hey,
150%. Like Mark hit it right on the head.
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, we've had conversations about the collector. We're a
Mm.
very transactional space, which is why culturalism tries to focus on the the what's the word? I can't even think of it right now. I got a brain fart. Um, the interactions, the activities that are going on at Culture Collision, right?
The
We want to make
experience.
it more the experience, exactly it. right? So again, if I go back to that blank check, if I had a blank check, there's a lot more I can do. Without a
100%.
blank check, it makes it very limited on what I can do.
For
So
sure.
it's interesting because I know EJ came from
Brooklyn.
Burbank. I know he's very experienced. You know, we've had conversations before in the past, and I know it was very similar. We had a lot of similar ideas, or we had ideas of what direction we feel like the space needs to go. Very similar, right? And I think it just comes from a fresh mind, fresh way of thinking. Again, that blank check, right? You get that blank check, you can spend $10 million on an event. You make five the
Yeah.
first time, okay, it was a success, maybe. But again, we're talking about how do you 10x the hobby. There's plenty of things that I could probably tell you that we could probably do to 10x the hobby. But one of the things that Fanatics is doing is Fanatics is actually bringing brand awareness.
Yeah.
Brand awareness. They're part of everything that's going on. Now, the one thing I discredit them for, the one thing I hate that I really don't see from them as much is the engagement. It's only from, I guess I'm only speaking from a personal aspect of it because of how, when I talk about Culture Collision, we talk about the interaction. I feel like in order to really 10x the hobby, you have to embrace the people that are already here. I think you embrace the people that are already here. You focus on the things that we like, and then we talk about what the future looks like. You know, hey, look, let's embrace these ideas. Oh, these are great ideas. Okay, cool. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, cool. And then, okay, this is what where we want to go. But maybe that's just my mind. That's where I'm thinking. I think it's one of those things where I want to see the space 10x because I think that's how we get to sustainable values, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we get to sustainable values. Because there's only 100 exquisite LeBron rookie cards. If Mike and Wiz are millionaires, maybe they decide, you know what, I want a freaking LeBron exquisite. Exactly. I'm going to spend $200,000 and I'm going to put it to the side and I'm going to keep it. I'm going to be a collector. That's the aspirations. That's the dreams that most people well, I'm not going to lie to you. That's what most people in this space should aspire for, right? Mm-hmm. And I want a PSA 10 Jordan. I want to be able to hold it. I want to be able to keep it and give it to my child, or my grandchildren or something, right? And I think as we continue to grow as a space, right? And I think we had a great guest, Mark, probably 2 years ago. His name was Eric Myers. Yeah. The smartest thing he ever said, and I'm not going to lie to you, it didn't resonate to me until after the show. He said that if people at the bottom are thriving, then the market will continue to grow.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because people on the high-end market can't continue to buy at the high-end market.
No.
The high-end market's going to drop, and then it's going to settle. And then hopefully the people at the high-end market will say, you know what, that's a little too cheap. Let me go ahead and just start buying this. People like Sean. Shout out to people like Sean, right? He's out here buying all these grails, all these exquisites, and then he's just putting them to the side. I'm keeping them. And then you go buy from him. He's a millionaire, so guess you buy from him, you're going to pay top dollar. So I'm just being honest with you. What I tell you, Mike, anybody that has the money always wins. The man with the most money always wins when it comes to being a collector or being someone who has something, who's in a position of power, so to speak, right? Yeah. You got the Prizm Black 101 Wimby. Guess what? I want $2 million. No, I want to pay you 1.2. Well, I ain't taking nothing but $2 million. So guess what? That's what you're going to end up having to pay me. You'll come really close to my $2 million, right? Exactly. So, and I think that that's where we are, right? It's how do we grow this space? We have to open it up to different people. And I know we didn't add this as a segment, but I want to say shout out because I haven't said it publicly, and I've had to embrace this a little bit. Is shout out to the people who got their own Topps card, the influencer pack. Yeah. I may not necessarily agree with every single thing that is going on. That's my official statement. I don't necessarily agree with any and everything that is going on, but I will say this. The one thing that I've always said is I wanted to grow the space, Mark. Remember I said that 4 or 5 years ago? I want to grow this space. And guess what growing the space looks like? It doesn't look like me. It doesn't like us that's on this panel. It looks like Dr. Collectible. It looks like Mama Breaks. It looks like any other young aspiring collector that wants to get their own sports card, right? And I may not necessarily agree with it. I may not like it, but at the end of the day, that's what it's going to take for us to get to 10 times the hobby. Yeah. Because guess what Fanatics is going to do? They're going to focus on the minority. I'm sorry, not necessarily a majority, but the majority, because the majority does want to see us grow. The
Yep.
minority wants to keep it. No, I just want. Somebody said a minute ago. Just give me a table, 2 chairs. Like that's boring. Y'all ain't tired of that yet? I
You gotta
am.
be something else. You gotta have different elements
I
to it.
mean,
Exactly.
yes and
Exactly.
no. I mean, when you can make a living off of a table and 2 chairs, I mean, but again, it's going to have to take more to bring people to shows, right?
I
When you have
agree.
4 shows happening on the same weekend, and that's a big con on the show space right now, is that there's no interaction between hosts, right? They're having big shows on the same weekend competing against each other.
Agreed.
So you're having to differentiate yourself. And if you're not able to do that, you're not going to be sustainable, right?
Well, well, I will say this because I will say this. I hate to cut you off, Mark, but I will say this. It's okay to have multiple shows in the same weekend. Let's be clear. The reality is order to 10. If you want to 10 times the hobby, the promoters that's out there, make sure you get your people in your market to focus on your market. So at the end of the day, if I'm in Atlanta and I got 5 million people in Atlanta, my job is to get as many of that 5 million people to come to my show.
Sure.
Even if the minority decides, you know what, I'm going to go to Dallas instead. That's fine. Go to Dallas. I'm going to focus on what I can do, be great, and have a great show and have people come be a part of it, right? And then be able to say, you know what, I like your show just a little bit better because of this reason. And then that's how we're going to grow the hobby. I will say this. If you come to my show, you're going to see a different type of crowd. That's all I'm going to say.
For sure.
And all right, that's my 2 cents about Fanatics 10X in the hobby. If y'all want to, that's my little 2 cents on that. If not, we can move on to the next topic. Mike, y'all can do y'all 2 cents.
I gave about 82 cents already, man. I only got 16 left.
All right. Well, bet.
We can go to the next one.
All right, bet. Well, let's check this out. The next topic is eBay buying Golden. Also, last week we had some great news, or is it bad news? I don't know. I don't know if a lot of us are privy to a lot of the public information that's out there, but most recently eBay bought Golden Auctions, or does it look like it's more of a partnership? Because there's a lot of different moving parts. I don't know. Are y'all familiar with how the moving parts work?
No, I don't. I mean, from what Ken made it seem like it was more of a partnership than being sold. Like he sold it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
When I heard this little press conference, but I don't know the full inner workings of everything.
Okay. Well, eBay had a vault. Remember, eBay was promoting the eBay vault, right? eBay had the vault. eBay also has a marketplace, but they don't have a high-end marketplace.
Well, they don't have it anymore.
Well, yeah, and then on top of that,
right? Because back early in the ecosystem, there wasn't these real big auction houses. I think there was maybe one or two that did it every once in a while, where you were seeing
a few of them.
The Honus Wagners selling for like $1.8 million back in the day, right? That didn't happen on eBay. That happened outside of eBay.
Yeah.
But I think what we started to see, and there's a lot of things happening in the space right now. I think if you were to look at eBay's market share and kind of how it's divvied up between what's sold there, I think that sports cards and collectibles makes up probably 60, 70, 80% of what they sell on there right now. And I think it's kind of grown. Maybe it's closer to 50%, but that's a huge space in their market share. And so I think what you started to see is a lot of the low end market is starting to kind of gravitate to kind of repacks and other things. I think we're going to dive into that, but they're starting to do, Instagram, Facebook. A lot of those sales are being sucked away from eBay. And then, whenever you think of selling a high end card, like if somebody pulled the 101 Black Wemby, like you don't say, hey, I'm going to sell it on eBay, right?
Yeah.
Right. The first thing that you say is, I'm going to send it to Golden. I'm going to send it to PWCC. I'm going to send it to all, right? I'm going to send it to one of these high-end auction places, right?
Well, here's the thing, though, Mark. If I pull a Prizm Black 101 and I don't have anybody to sell it to, I can't even put $1 million on eBay because if I'm a nobody, I don't have an account that can support $1 million. So I can put it up there for what, $5,000, and somebody hits buy it now?
Yeah.
There's just no way.
Yeah.
So I mean, eBay's kind of flawed. I mean, I'm sure they probably figured that part out.
It didn't always be like that. It wasn't always like that. It wasn't always that they had a X amount of dollar cap, per item or per account. It used to be, balls to the wall. You could list a card for $10 million if you wanted to buy a now best offer, right? Now they're starting to get a little smarter where, only certain accounts are able to do this and do that. And
Yeah,
again, don't get me going on the inner workings of it all. But again, I think it was a smart move by eBay to kind of gravitate that market share back to them, that high end market, more eyes, more exposure. I think both of them hand in hand go well. I think that they're both going to piggyback off of each other, and I think that it was a great partnership.
Sure.
Now, could eBay have done it without Golden? Probably,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
But the fact that Golden put itself in a position for to even have these conversations, I think kudos to them and that team. I think them getting the Netflix show and that exposure as well really helped.
Oh, for sure.
Bridge this gap between the two as well. And I think that I don't know what this partnership looks like, but I think that it was needed for more for eBay than Golden to survive in
I
that
agree with
space.
that.
Yeah.
I agree. I think eBay gave Golden a lifeline. You know, when Collectors Universe acquired Golden a couple years ago, it was during peak peak marketplace. That value was not sustainable because you can see everybody's not grading as much as they used to.
Used to, yep.
Mark, this is a plug for you. Mark, you're a grader. You grade cards, right? You've seen a decline on grades in the last 2 years. You're familiar with what that looks like. A lot of the big graders out there, there's only a few big graders that are out there, and they've seen a decline. At the end of the day, it's not as much as it used to be, and I think that hurts the value. But
Well,
here's the one. Here's the interchangeable though, right? Now with eBay, and you have access to a vault with eBay. Now you literally can buy a card. I mean, well, you can grade a card and then automatically have it vaulted in eBay as it's being graded at PSA, right? And then automatically run it on auction at eBay. And that's a quick, or you say, you know what? Let me run it on Golden instead, depending on whatever the scenario is. If it's if it's that Wimby Black 101 that needs more eyes, right? That's
Right.
where I feel like you have those benefits. So I think for Golden, it's an alley oop for them. It's an alley oop
For
for
sure.
them. No brainer. Great job for Ken being one of the best. He's probably the only person better than marketing than me. But that's only because he gets on those shows, man, and he gets to talk that talk. And people are
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. But
Man, they
you
was
know,
in the barbershop watching that. Like in my barbershop, they was on Netflix watching it on Gold because I
yeah,
talk about cars with my barber, and he's been hooked ever since. So
yeah.
next, I was like, that's crazy.
No, that's true. Well, that's just my 2 cents about eBay buying Golden auctions. You guys want to throw something in there before we go on the next topic? The next topic I think Mike gonna have a lot more to say about this one. Go ahead.
Why you say that? Why?
Uh,
I'm curious what you got on this next topic is.
All right, so what? So you done? We done with this topic now?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right, on with the next one. So with the growing of the space, man. So with our space continually changing, growing, uh, it's fault like when you go to these shows, because we go to these shows every weekend and have been going to these shows every weekend for like the last 4 or 5 years. We continue to see the marketplace changes, and I always call the shows the marketplace because that's where you get a chance to see who's hot,
that's
who's
it. That's
not,
the ear to the ground.
what what people are buying. That's how
exactly.
you really get a chance to get your ears to know what's going on. Our space is so controlled by the repacks. This repack market is crazy. It's
It is.
crazy on a lot of different things. It's crazy because I can't go into a store or a card shop and say, "Hey, last comp did $100. Would you take 90?" Nah, such and such is coming to come pick it up at $100 and buy every other card that I have at 100%. Makes it very hard. All right, so
Extremely.
what is your 2 cents on this, guys?
I think 110% I understand where you're coming from. And to me, I just feel like it's just a pivot. Is that every card, every scenario? No. Different experiences with different repacks. Some buy from this range, some buy from that range, and I feel like you just got to figure out what works for you, right? Maybe going to a hobby shop now is not the move, right? Maybe going to a show and having a card you got to trade down on, and maybe give that to the repack. Is or it's so many different aspects to the game. But I understand and I agree with you that from 2 to 3 years ago, it's way harder to buy cars than what it was 2 to 3 years ago, or even at 1 year ago. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, but
Mark.
I think a lot of people are scared for that pivot, bro, and I don't think a lot of people have that hustle in them too, right? Because there's an extra. It's that extra mile. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to figure out that somebody else is not because they want to give up because it's too hard?
Mm.
You know what I
There you
mean?
go.
Man,
But
You
look,
said you said
this
you
is
said a lot
this
there.
is this is business though, right? So there's a pivot. It's not going to be the same every day, every time, every year, every month, right? There's just a new pivot. That's all it is. It's just a new pivot. Either you are or you aren't.
So so what happens to the collector though?
well, the
Well,
collector wants to buy it at 80% too.
yeah. So
There you go.
Hey, but
can I
see,
say this?
there's
Can
been
I
a
say
lot of
this
things that's
too?
happened in the
Before,
hobby that's
well,
kind
well,
of
let me say that.
swayed
Let me
away
say.
the collector. Well, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. No, you go. Go ahead. Go ahead. You go. You go. You go.
With any business, right? With any space that you're in, there's always going to be pros and cons, right? Anything,
That's it.
right? The same way that you can build something up, you can tear it down. And obviously, there's a lot of good that come with repack, and there's a lot of bad. Like you said, now if like a guy comes up to me and wants to buy a car for me at a show, I'm not letting the car go for 80%. Why? Right? I can sell it for 100. I can sell it for 95% of what the last comp was. So to me, what that does is it kind of um, makes it impossible to buy at times, right? And most dealers that you walk up to at shows have the same or mindset that I have, right? Why am I going to sell it to you at less than 90%, right? And again, repackers, like you said, they run out. Repackers gravitate to what ranges and what they're buying, what sport. So
Mm.
it opens it up for other people to kind of swoop in and grab all that extra product that's falling off. But look, I tell people all the time, there's not enough cards, right? Well, again, let me backtrack. There's way too many cards, right, for any repacker to buy them all. Okay. There's way too many cards to say that, oh, I can't buy cards because so and so is buying them all up. Okay. I've been at shows, right? And I've had repackers sitting right next to me to my left and repackers sitting right next to me to my right. And guess what? I'm still able to buy, right? Because it's a lot more than just the extra 5% that you're going to buy. It's the extra 10% that you're going to buy. To me, a lot that's getting lost in the hobby is the relationship and the networks that are established and need to happen in order to kind of grow this space in this hobby, right?
Mm.
So I'll tell everybody out there, man, don't feel discouraged, don't feel threatened, don't feel like it's too high of a mountain to overcome because so and so is buying something right across the lane or the aisle from you. They're paying more than you. Well, guess what? You can do it. You can buy exactly what they're buying because I'm gonna tell you something. There's lines around right their table, right, that they can't get to, and guess what? I'm sitting right there next to them, and they'd rather buy from me, right, than have to wait an hour to go sell to a repack, right?
Exactly.
So like I said, pros and cons to everything. I think that they're good because they create fluidity. But then on the flip side, right, everybody's so tunnel vision now, right? Buy at 80, sell at 100, buy at 80, sell at 100, that there's no in between anymore.
Hmm.
And I think also
Very
too,
true.
it definitely makes it hard when they set up at shows. You know what I mean? Like exactly how you're talking, Mark. And I think I want to touch on something you said too, the relationship aspect. I wish that was a little bit stronger with repacks. I wish I just how can I say this? How can I say this? Maybe when originally I feel like the repack game came into play, it was very low key.
Yeah.
And I feel like with them coming to shows, setting up, it just made everything blow up a whole much easier. Um, but let me ask you something, Marcus. I see Vic put something in the comments. What have you actually seen, right? As far as maybe like the last year and a half, right? As far as buying, right? Because I don't know what percentages you were necessarily buying at, maybe say prior to, I guess, the repack era, whatever you guys want to
Yep.
call this right now, going on in the hobby, whatever it is, but I feel like I've always kind of paid close to that 80%, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or even higher, even before doing or having a relationship with the repack. So I'm curious how it is with you, like over the last year. You
So
know,
prior to repacks, right? You could buy 70, 75%, right? And be sustain yourself, right? There wasn't every other post on Facebook and Instagram wasn't someone buying. I think that there's 10-year-olds right now that buy more in a week than I do, right? So there's a lot of different players in the game now. I think back in the day when I was coming up, there used to be a guy that walked around the show and he would walk up to a showcase and he would ask somebody how much for the whole showcase, right?
Hmm.
And there was only one, maybe two guys that were able to walk around a show and be able to do that, right? And I think early on, when I first met Ralph, we used to have candid conversations. If somebody came up and offered you what for your showcase, what would you let it go for, right? Because those were the honest conversations that you would have, right?
right.
And so now there's hundreds of people that walk around that could buy you out of your showcase if you
Okay,
needed to,
that's fair.
right? And so like I said, in the last year, I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick and tired of seeing kabooms in freaking downtowns, right? That's all anybody ever wants now, right? You got any kabooms? You got any downtowns, right? And obviously, if you're buying those cards, you're going to have to be extremely, extremely competitive because if you're not going to buy them at 90.95, the next guy's going to buy them at 90.95, and you're having to
Right,
compete in that kaboom downtown arena, right?
right,
But now, like I said, there's so many buyers now that now you have to go to the people who treat you right, right?
Mm.
And I think I let off the show saying that you had to make me look back in the mirror and say, man, am I as fair when I buy stuff as I can be, right? But there's certain spots though that can make you competitive regardless of what a percentage that someone else is taking.
Mm.
Because I'll tell you this, there's a guy that will go around, he'll pay 100%, but he'll cherry pick your stuff, right? But then there's other people that will take everything that you have, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and they're knowledgeable in the space enough that they can move it all, regardless
right.
of repackers are buying it or not, right?
Mm.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
like anything in life, man, find a way to differentiate yourself from the crowd, right? um Learn, do a lot of research, right? And then pivot, right? I think
Right.
once you reach that Yoda sensei level that Ralph is on right now, you're able to look at a card, you know exactly what it's worth without having to hop on an app, right?
Right.
Because
Exactly.
you've put in the time to
Educate yourself.
hone your craft.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but man, you guys definitely spent some knowledge there, man. Shout out to both of you guys on that.
But I think overall, I want to say that I think the repack is good for the hobby.
I think it's
That's
great.
good. It's
Overall,
great right
over,
now. I mean, it's
overall.
great right now because everybody's making money. Everybody's making money. I
Nah,
mean, it's
man.
gonna stay competitive for a while. I mean, shoot, bro. Shout out to that kid that was in freaking White Plains paying 100%. 100% of comps on downtowns and kabooms. So, I mean, I don't know how you do that, but hey, these kids out here, figuring it out. I think we had this
Well,
conversation too,
I mean,
Mark.
you have to be realistic about it, man. The reason why these repackers can pay so much is because they hop in these streams or they sell these cases and they're making 100 to 120% comps on these cards that they're
Hmm.
Right.
buying,
Yeah.
right? They're
Exactly.
able to put them on a. I don't know when's the last time you've been on a whatnot stream, right? But I've seen base Wimby sell for like $100, $200 because two people get into a bidding war, right? And
Exactly.
they
Mm.
just pick that card up for $50, right?
Right.
So they just made 3, 4x of what they originally had into that card. So
Even
Great
after
point.
fees.
Great point.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a reason why they're able to do that. There's a reason why that market space is actually growing because people are starting to realize that there is a lot of profitability being able to pay them high prices, man. So like I said, it isn't that oh man, they're losing
There
money.
you
Hell,
go,
there wouldn't
Joel.
be so many pop-ups if people were losing money.
Hey, Joel said you make 100% if you're a collector and don't settle for less because someone is willing to pay 100%. You just have to wait for the right time.
Right.
Yep, there's always options, man. At the end of the day, I say the man with the money always wins. Or if you're a collector, it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? You buy what you like, buy what you like, and hey, if you bought the Prizm gold vinyl in 2017, it cost you $400 for the Pat Mahomes rookie. Just saying. You know what I'm saying? And I think that guy sold it for $400,000 on Golden. He paid $600. So
Yeah,
uh,
but
it,
don't
it,
but don't wait till 2024 and hold the bag right on a Zion Go vinyl optic, right?
Right.
yep,
I
yep.
think
And Carlos Byers,
what Vic
go ahead.
said, what Vic is saying right here, I agree 110%. People creating your opportunities.
Yep,
So
that's
I
true.
agree with that 100%.
Yeah,
So guys,
there's no right or wrong approach to this, guys. And it
100%.
doesn't even have to be just in this hobby. I mean, I know that a lot of our conversation today is centered around this hobby, but it's understanding what you love.
Right.
Honestly, I think each and every one of us love sports. We love collecting cards. This is stuff that gravitated us to this space. And honestly, I wake up every day and I get to do something that I love, and I don't
Fact.
really think that it's a job, right? I understand what it takes for me on a monthly basis to meet, my monthly goals. And I can meet them in a week. I can meet them in a month, right? But I have the flexibility to be able to do that now. But honestly, I wake up every day, and the hardest, most tedious thing I have to do today is putting damn cards on a spreadsheet to sell them to someone else, right? That's the
Exactly.
hardest thing that I have to do.
Right.
So for me, it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. I love shiny cards. So every time a new shiny card comes up, regardless if it costs $5 or $1,000, that collector in me comes out. And sometimes, if you're browsing my live story and you see something that might not be selling, it's because hey, I don't mind holding on to it. Like Joe said, right? I'll wait for 100% because I bought it because I liked it. I was okay to be the comp, and truth be told, 9 times out of 10, I make more than what I bought the card for, right?
That's
100%.
correct.
So, like I said, don't be afraid to be the comp ever, right? Have the vision. I think, like I said, I give Ralph his kudos too, man. He's told me time and time again, yeah, this card is $5,000 today, but I guarantee you in 2 months it's going to be 15,000, man. And I've seen him hit it out the park more times than not.
Multiple times. Multiple times. For
I'm
sure.
all right. I appreciate it though. Thank you. Takes a you got. I'm ballsy sometimes, bro. I'm ballsy. I'm ballsy. So sometimes you have to be. Uh,
He'll take a risk for sure, for sure.
all right. So the final topic before we actually, I had a bunch of people send us questions on Instagram. I have a few. I'm trying to find the rest of them. I can't file all of them, but I'm gonna try to find what I can. So I apologize if I missed a couple questions. I have a few in my inbox. The next topic we're going to talk about. I'm not trying to be biased, but because we got another show coming up, I want to talk about Culture Collision. Culture
Yeah.
Collision Trade Show. Why not? It's
And
my
this is look, if
show.
you look a little bit, that's like the hat pin I had for
It's
my
my
hat.
show. I get to talk about Culture Collision. Absolutely. You dang on Skippy. If I
Yes,
can't
sir.
get invited to your table, I'm gonna make my own. Hey, so look. So next show is September 13th,
13.
2019. We're about to
19.
have, I'm sorry, 24. I'm
2024.
sorry, 2024. Man, I'm tripping. I'm tired. But so hey, so look, so we had, let me just kind of say, like, the last show we gave away $5,000 to the 3-on-3 basketball tournament. We just ramped that up to $7,500, but it's also 16 teams now. So bring your team if you want to win $7,500. Challenge anybody to come.
Can hear you.
Can't hear you,
Can
Ralph.
hear you. Can hear you.
Oh shoot, sorry, I muted
Too
myself.
excited to hit the button.
Man, I'm sorry. What did I miss? What y'all miss?
Everything.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna say this. So the next show is September, Friday the 13th. The last show we gave away $5,000 on the 3-on-3 basketball tournament. We're giving away $7,500 this next go round, but it's gonna be 16 teams. That the basketball tournament sponsored by Monster. So
Oh wow.
they're actually gonna be one of our first major sponsors for the show. Shout out to every sponsor at Culture Collision, right? I don't want to go through everybody, but let's just say a sports card investor, right? We had PWCC in the past. We had Golden in this past show. We also have Alt. Can shout out to Alt. Shoot, I can't think of everybody off the top of my head. Don't kill me, please don't. But appreciate all my sponsors that are that come and support the show. When I had this vision, it was a vision that was pretty ballsy because at the time, people kept hitting me up and saying, well, what type of show is it? Well, I mean, I'm just embracing the other spaces in this space. Like, right? We want to 10x the hobby. We need to include more collectors. So please be okay with the fact that sneakers are collectibles. I got a wall of them right here, and some of them I don't even wear. So, and then also hats. We want to embrace those too. So the collectible space is not limited to just trade cards, sports cards. But at the same time, though, buy what you like. You can look in a room full of collectibles and say, I like that, I like that, I like that. Oh, I didn't even know I liked that. I didn't know I liked hat pins before I bought a hat. Started about getting into hats.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
You
And
know,
so,
the coolest thing that I liked about Culture Collision. I didn't mean to cut you off there,
no, you're
man.
good. This is what it's
But
about.
the thing that I like the most about Culture Collision is that it did collaborate each and every one of those entities, right? But my favorite thing was being at the show. You had a live DJ hyping everybody up, and to me, that was the best thing at the show, right? To me, right? Like because you know how long the days get whenever you're just sitting there waiting, hoping
Right.
that somebody's gonna walk by and just look at one of your card, right? This made it more interesting. This made it more impactful, right? This made it something like, man, I felt like somewhere where like-minded people were to my left and to my right, in the front and the back. And it was incorporating each and everything that I enjoy, not only as a card enthusiast, but like you said, a shoe enthusiast, a hat enthusiast, right? And then you look in the very corner, you see people playing 3-on-3 basketball game, right? Like,
Yep.
who's doing that, right? And so I think that just the new ideas and the creativity behind what Culture Collision brings, I think once you grow, right? I think you're on a uphill. On the uphill side of it all, growing and growing, and excited to see what the next show brings, and then, of course, what 2025 has in store.
No, I
It's always a
appreciate it.
movie though. Every culture is a movie, man. Like it's always a good experience, always a good show, good environment. Also shout out Jesse's Kids. That's a new aspect that's
That's right.
added on to the show. This past show that's for sure is going to be going forward. So
Absolutely.
I love Culture Collision. Culture Collision to me, I think you take the Nationals. I think you up there with Burbank and Dallas. To me personally, so
No, I
and that's
appreciate
somebody
that.
that's hitting a show every weekend. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I
just in the
appreciate that.
space as a whole, man. I mean, it was one of the best buying and selling shows that I had been in, right? Like some shows that you'll reach out and you'll say, "Hey, this one's a buying show, right?" Or this
Yeah.
one's a selling show. And I think that it actually gravitated the two together as well as it could. And it was the best of both worlds, man. So again, shout out to the team. It's much more than just one person, right? It did take a village to grow
Correct.
Culture Collision. And like I said, it's exciting to see where it goes. Hell, we're gonna see a damn roller coaster in there, our little train that goes around the
Man,
whole show here pretty soon.
I'm gonna keep bugging these sponsors. Somebody gonna give me a blank check. Somebody's gonna give me a blank check. And when that happens, I'm gonna turn it up. But I ain't really want to push it too much, man. But I want to say, oh, the other things, there's always negative. So I mean, people did talk about the negative aspect of it. I will address this situation formally about the situation where there was somebody that was doing like a Raz game at the show, right? So basically there was a Raz game at the show where somebody does some ball and something. I don't really know the whole logistics of it. I really do not, right? Um, but people had their opinions. People lost money, right? And there was a video that came out where it basically talked about this guy was filming me. I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't really know what was going on. Like guy came up to me very aggressive. He came with his mob of people, very aggressive. I was hanging out, having a good time. It was Sunday afternoon. You know what I'm saying? And then they had their opinions. They spoke their opinions about the situation. I spoke my opinions about the situation. Maybe I didn't handle it in a way that they felt was manner, but I think the reality is this, right? Anytime you go to a show, we as men and of people that have accountability have to learn to hold ourselves accountable, right? Me as a promoter, I will say this: I may have could have addressed certain things differently, but the reality is what I was trying to educate the young man about was really holding himself accountable. That's really at the end of the day. I can't do in no more to what I've already done, and if he wanted to do something besides that, he was entitled to do so. But nothing happened. We're still here. The next show is September 13th. We're gonna keep turning it up. We're gonna keep learning and going forward. Guess what? None of that stuff is gonna be included in the show, right? We learn from our mistakes, we grow, we keep going. That's what we're trying to do at the end of the day. You got to think 3 years ago, I never did a show before. Now I'm on show number
Exactly.
5. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? And that's what we are right now. Next year, we're going to do 4 shows. We're going to take this thing around the world. That's where Coach Collision's going. So I want you guys to know that you guys are in good hands. We're thinking about the hobby moving and everything. Just know that Coach Collision's focused on bringing in 10x in the hobby. That's why we have Monster as our sponsor. So that's about it for me today. Outside of the questions, you want to say anything else, Mark?
Nah, I mean, I think you hit it right on the head, right? You don't know what you don't know. But once you know, right, you have an obligation to make corrections. And I think if you're pivoting away from that and understanding the whole dynamic instead of jumping on a lynch mob that came out in regards to that without really knowing the whole story, I saw some crazy stuff, man, and I'm not going
Of
to give it
course.
too much credit, right? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, look, we've been called worse. I've been
For sure.
called worse. I've been treated worse in
100%.
For
this
sure.
hobby that we love, right?
Yeah.
Don't think that if you walk into a show, everybody's treated the same, right?
Nobody's
You,
treated the
Yeah.
same.
don't think that if you walk into an airport, everybody's treated the
Treat
same,
the
right?
same. No.
I
So,
got
like
status
I
at the
said,
airport though.
like I said, man, it's one of those things of life. We embrace the change. Sometimes we're bringing the change, and it makes people uncomfortable,
Yeah,
right?
I
And
agree.
I hate to see when somebody's doing good that there's people trying to knock them down. But you know what? I think you have really thick skin, Ralph,
For
and you
sure.
just persevere and move forward, man. So shout out to the whole team there, right? Prism
The
Goddess,
boss, Prism
Chris,
Goddess. Shout out to
right?
Prism Goddess.
We had to give a
Prism
shout out to
Goddess.
her, man. So,
Yes,
like I
gotta say
said, to
Prism.
me,
Prism Goddess. I gotta say it louder. Prism Goddess. Oh, you hear me?
but like I said, man, it is something that's different, man. And like I said, Ralph gave me a lot of tongue lashings for not making it to the first 3 shows. But the one that I was able to make it to, man, had a pleasure. He actually came and sat down beside me and he hung out for a little bit. So I felt really important.
For sure.
Right. All right. So look. So I'm at the part. We usually, I know at the end of the show we used to use with our guests. We used to do 20 questions, but because we actually got you as a last minute guest, because at first we weren't necessarily going to get a guest because we haven't had one in a while. But
I
so we're
like
gonna
it
do
though.
some.
Appreciate you for having them on, man.
Oh
Thank you,
yeah,
Mike,
of
for taking the
course,
time out of your day.
I
man.
appreciate you guys even asking me, and I mean to come on, man. I appreciate it 110%.
All right, so I feel like I can't. You actually put some questions in here, Mike. So we'll answer
Okay.
your questions, but I want to ask. Somebody asked. Actually, the last question somebody asked was, "Do you feel Cards HQ is the future of sports card stores?" All right, y'all both can answer, and I'll go last.
I think I think yes. I think yes. I think going forward there will be more stores that'll be more interactive exactly how that store is set up. You know, I don't want to be, downgrade anybody's store, but majority of car stores you go into are very bland, very boring, not interactive. So going to Card HQ is a totally different experience. So
I don't have an opinion, unfortunately, because I didn't wasn't able to make it over to the grand opening at Culture Collision. But everything that I've heard, there was a lot of money invested into that show, into that space, into
Shop.
that card shop. And
yeah,
so I think that look, he's taking the bull by the horns. He's taking something that was old and making it new.
for sure.
And again, sometimes you got to be the change. And I think that that shop is the change. Some of the cool things that I've heard, like you said, the interactiveness of the space of the show was you can have your own break, right? Your live break. I think being able to stream that is kind of cool. And I mean, we get in enough of them as consumers, why not host one of your, by yourself? So I
Like I
think
feel
that's
Mm,
like
pretty cool.
what you did with the shows, Ralph, like how you changed the aspect of card shows, he's trying to change the aspect of card shops.
I respect
You
that.
know what I mean?
I respect that, and I think you're actually right. I mean, you know, when I talked about doing either a card shop or a card show, regardless of which one I decided to do, I wanted to do something that was different. I didn't want to be
For
like
sure.
everybody else. So for someone to say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna, grab the bull by the horn and say I'm gonna go ahead and take a chance," you got to respect somebody that's gonna take a chance, and he will go through heartaches,
Yep.
and hopefully he won't go through as many. Jeff is a very smart person. He has a really smart team with Ryan and Carter. Those guys are good guys. Um, Good people for the Atlanta market. They're known in the Atlanta market. So I definitely think they could definitely, they definitely can grow, right?
For sure.
No, nothing, nobody can become Coach Collision overnight. All right, so I'm just kidding. Hey, but no, but check it out though. But I think that what they're doing is really dope. I mean, they're really ballsy, and I think they're doing a great job. All right. Next question. You ask, who do you have winning the NBA playing games tonight?
Who
Uh,
are y'all
I,
watching basketball? I'm not.
You say you're not?
well,
Oh, I'm sorry. You'll be watching after this. Who
oh
gonna win the
yeah,
play-in?
I think I got Atlanta beating the Bulls. I think I
Bulls
got
suck.
yeah, unfortunately. I don't know. I think the Lakers should win, but they probably won't.
Lakers should win. I think the Lakers will win. I think Golden State's gonna win. I think Philly's gonna win, and I think Atlanta hopefully will win because I can go to the playoff game.
Yeah. Hopefully I do want Atlanta to win and hit the playoff game.
Yeah. All right. Next questions. Who do you believe will have a better rookie season? Angel or Caitlin? Mark?
Um
Just because Mike, you asked the question, I'm reading your questions.
yeah.
Well, I think I mean it's tough to say. I don't know enough about it, right? So if I were to give an answer, it would be an uneducated answer, and because of that, I'm going to plead the fifth. Right? I wish them both tons and tons of success. And like I said, the way that I'm going to support them is to try to go buy their Prism Golds whenever they come out. Right? That's the way that I'm going to support that segment of the hobby.
Got you. All right, so my 2 cents. I think Caitlin's probably gonna have a good year. I think she's gonna be
I'm
fine.
thinking too.
I think she's gonna be. Everybody's gonna be so hyped for her. The minute she hits her first three, I think she's gonna be comfortable. She's a dog, so I think she's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
No pun intended. Yeah, not no disrespect or anything, but I think she's a dog though. All right, next question. What other states are you looking to bring Coach Collision to? Good question. I'm looking at Chicago for sure. I'm from there. I'll tell you that much for right now. I don't know if y'all can answer that question. Do you do you like your influencer? Do you like your influencer to actually collect or just be an influencer?
I think. Oh, go ahead.
I like both. I like the both aspects transparently. Because I feel like you get a true experience, right? Like I don't want to say any names, but you have some people that are like outside looking in the hobby, but they're not really on the ground floor, right? So let me take Raw
Yeah.
for an
Just say
example.
it.
Rolf gives you the full outside experience and also gives you the full on the floor experience when he's
Bro,
engaging with
Rolf's
people.
the best.
Yeah, 100%.
Not even
As far as
close.
Rolf, I would say Rolf and Mojo. I say Rolf and Mojo as far as
Well,
influencers.
Mojo is a funner version of Rolf. Rolf is a
Yeah,
freaking business transaction. Like
yeah,
he's a
Rolf. Yeah,
freaking like
Rolf's a beast when it comes to
he's a
social media.
dog.
Yeah,
Mojo is like the collector. I'm having fun. This is my experience in the space.
right.
Both dope at what they do, but like I don't know. My
But to
influencer,
me, but
I
my
like
thing
them to
is,
be I like my influencer to be a dog because I want to be able to
and
just
I feel you, but that's two different aspects, right? Because they're both collectors, right? They're both doing business transactions, but different aspects, right?
I don't really think Rolf's a collector though. I think he's an influencer who's like he teaches the he's just he's just I don't know what's the word, Mark. I can't think of the word. What is he?
Yeah, I mean, he influences. I mean, I
He
think
does
that that's what he
influence.
does. I mean, he influences.
And he's
He
really in the field.
incorporates. He entertains.
He really in the
He.
Yeah,
field.
yeah, he's
Um,
really like
but to go.
Mojo. When I think about influencers, but I don't mean to cut you off, Mark. I'm thinking about people who are really giving you that on the floor aspect, right? That bird's eye view of what they're actually doing on the floor. And you
Yeah,
have certain aspects, certain influencers that completely have they can't do that. You
yeah, I
understand what I'm
agree.
saying?
If I'm
So
listening to somebody talk about something that I'm interested in, right? They have to have skin in the game, right?
yeah,
If you're talking about something that you don't really know anything about, it's hard to take to hold you credible in that space. I said so for me.
100%.
And again, I talk about it all the time. It doesn't have to just be about sports. We could talk about Jordans, right? If I'm talking, somebody's talking about why I should go buy a pair of Jordans. I hope that they wore that pair of Jordans before, right? And so for me, it's like, how are you going to influence me to go pick up a Kobe Bryant rookie card if you don't even know what year Kobe Bryant came into the league, right? So to me, you got to have some credibility to be an influencer to me,
Feel like shots
for
fired.
me
I don't know.
to actually know and listen to what you got to say.
All right. Next question. 2024 Topps Chrome. Ronaldo Grail Chase prize for collecting set. I don't know if this. I guess they're asking how do we feel about that?
Be the reason why some dudes.
Huey P says we the reason why some of these dudes buy cards. That's facts. We've been doing this for a while now. Let's be real. All right. So I don't know if I don't understand that question, so I'm gonna skip that one. Will the overall soccer card market explode in the U.S. when the World Cup comes in 2026? I hope so. Shout out to my Prizm Gold World Cup Messi card.
I don't want no soccer cards, man.
No,
I
you
don't know.
tripping, bro.
Look,
Yeah,
but
I
here
don't
You
goes
know.
tripping.
why,
There's a
Soccer's
man.
market for
fire.
it. There's a market for it, bro. There's definitely a strong
No,
ass
no,
market
that's
for it.
that. See. Hold on, let me finish this thought, man. The reason why I don't want no soccer cards is because honestly, for all of y'all listening and checking us out, if you really know, right, and you're successful in this space, there's so much time and energy that goes into just researching one sport, right?
Yes.
And really understanding who's climbing, who's falling, who's a quick flip, who's a long-term hold, right? And now you're starting to say, okay, now you do two sports. Now you do maybe two and a half sports, right? So I'm majority football, I'm majority basketball, right? And then I dabble in baseball, right? Only because I'm a homer, right? I love my Astros, but and I watch a lot of Astros games, so therefore I'm invested in the baseball realm of it all. So in order for me to gravitate again, right, and I started to gravitate into F1 for a little bit, right, and that kind of fell on its face. But in order for me to be successful in this hobby and really gravitate to another sport, is going to take me away from the ones that are already kind of, buttering my biscuits, right?
Mhm.
And so for me, that was the reason why I say for me, like soccer is so far out of the realm for me. Obviously, you can pick up a couple cards here and there, but for me to really take a really deep dive is going to take too much of my time capital, right? To be able to
Right.
jump in, feet first.
I get you on that.
Well, I will say this. Some of my biggest success stories came from dabbling into different markets. That's truth. That's facts. Like F1, soccer, the Jay-Z market, pop culture market, like getting into different worlds. I will say, I say, there you go, call the buyer. I will definitely, hey, call the buyer is actually right on this one.
You gotta get
Don't
outside,
stay
yeah.
comfortable. Get out of your comfort zone.
Hands on.
And as we say that, right? I don't really primarily do baseball cards because there's a lot of players to deal with.
Yeah,
But if you stick with the main people, you'll probably be fine. The
yeah.
same thing when you're dealing with F1. If you're dealing with soccer, if you're dealing with the main guys, I think you're typically going to be fine. I think if there's a
But
will,
I
there's a
think
way.
you
Like if I gave you a Messi rookie PSA 10 and say, bro, give me $500, you're probably not gonna think about it. You're probably gonna say, oh yeah, I'll take it.
but here goes the deal though. You talked about early on, right? whenever you come into a space, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make losses,
Correct.
right? So at this stage, right, in my evolution, right, I have to limit those mistakes, right, that
Got you.
exposure as much as possible. And for
Yeah.
that reason, and yes, you can get comfortable, right? You can just go get along to go along, right? But in the lane that I'm in right now, in order for me to get into another lane, I have to master where I'm at and limit that exposure. But yeah, look, I made the ultimate uncomfortable, right? Uh, the hobby is my 100% full-time job, right? So if that's not making anyone uncomfortable, I don't know what would. But shout out Vic, I appreciate the insight, right? But yeah, you're right. The greatest rewards in life, man, it come from risk, man. And so if your risk reward appetite isn't on point, man, you'll drown before you even
100%.
get started.
So look, so I think we're at that point in time right now. I know we extended by almost an extra 30 minutes, but guess what? It's been a long time since we did a show, so I expected us to go over 30 minutes. We had a great guest with Mike. Shout out to both of you guys, Mike, Mark. But before we go, I do want to give the people a chance in the chat to go ahead and ask us questions. I did, because I couldn't find any other questions. If anybody has any questions that they want us to talk about real briefly, we will talk about it. Go
What do
ahead
you
and
got?
go.
Hold on, I got a question, man.
Go ahead.
So we talked about, since you guys are, have your ears to the ground. You said that the show market is the pulse, right? You can feel what's, the high and the buy, right? Um, Maybe give out a couple gems. What are your current like buys that you're seeing right now? You don't have to give them all out, but maybe one that you're saying, hey, this guy. From what I'm hearing, my ear to the street for the people that aren't able to travel around to the shows week after week. What are you guys seeing? What kind of gems can you give the crowd?
I think for right now, I think the strongest buy I would say is probably going to be for me. I think football. I think football to me right now is the safest bet. I always focus on QBs. I think we got some sleepers. I'll be honest with you. I'm still buying Justin Fields super heavy. I was even thinking about Sam Howell, adding him onto that list. I think it's a lot of QBs that I think got lowered down, like went to the second string to first string. That I think still might surprise some people coming this season. I personally think Justin Fields is going to be a starting quarterback by the end of the season.
What are you buying, Ritter?
I was never sold on Ritter, but no, I'm not. No way. What are your tips
What about
on
you, Ralph?
and a dog?
I don't like to give out a lot of tips, so I'll just say that football is a smart buy because you have at least 2 months to 3 months to that you'll get an increase on cards because the demand is going to be higher. Um, the demand is going to be higher. Appreciate you, love what you collect. I appreciate you. Um, so I think that buy what you like. Buying football is really really good to buy right now because like I said, you'll probably get a 20% swing. I mean, I don't think we've seen any increase on football yet.
Advice.
Oh, okay. All right. So cool. He said call advice is not financial advice. Yeah, but I feel like it is though. If I say, yeah, go buy Desmond Ritter and then the market goes up 20-30% and I'm dumping them young. Like, what?
I mean,
But
obviously, I mean, like I said, I'm almost to the point of I don't even want to look at downtowns and kabooms. I'll let everybody fight over those. But obviously, if you run across one, those are extremely, extremely liquidable cards, right? We always talk about liquidity in this space. One thing that I am starting to see is there's no real off season for football, right? There
yeah,
is there is an off season for baseball, right? There
Basketball.
is off season. Hell, the off season for basketball starts while the season is still going,
Yeah,
right?
facts.
And
yep,
After
so
All-Star break kind of
there
drops.
yeah, so for me it's like for the ultimate slam dunk, man. And obviously, honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you, football wasn't the play 4, 5, 6 years ago.
nope,
And that's a 100%. Me growing up, like football cards weren't selling for big money, right?
nope.
Everyone was basketball card and baseball card,
That's it.
right? And then all of a sudden, NFL comes through and it still isn't selling. Outside of quarterbacks, right? You might see the occasional wide receiver, you might see the occasional tight end or defensive lineman. Shout out to Aiden Hutchinson. That dude sells more than better than what you think for a lineman, for a defensive end. But I will say this, man. Football has a stronghold. I think it's because it's real consistent, right?
Yeah.
And it
Last
does
couple of
have
years has been very crazy.
yeah,
Yep.
so we're still not seeing like the astronomical numbers like basketball and baseball are bringing, right? I don't think we've seen a $20 million football card yet, but we have seen that in baseball. We have seen like a $5-10 million card in NBA and multi-million-dollar cards in NFL. But like I said, I think that they are the steady. There are the pace
So
right
you mean
now.
to tell me Pat Mahomes' NFL shield's not worth $20 million yet?
No, it's not.
Okay. All
Well,
right. So look. I was gonna say. I
Sky had a
guess
question though too though.
I would say. I would say. Basically, real quick.
Yeah.
Buy exquisite. There you go. Jordan and LeBron, cheap, and Kobe. I mean, I'm
Dude,
just
Kobe's
saying, the
market, low key though,
stuff is
low
so cheap.
key, it's starting to kind of tick up.
Yeah, I
If
saw
you
that
see some
too.
of these, if you see some of these huge auction houses, there's a group of investors out there that are starting to push Kobe, and he's still super cheap, cheaper than what he should. Like the fact that Wimby is outselling like Topps Chrome LeBron rookie cards, PSA 10.
It's
Sometimes it's,
crazy.
it's crazy. So
It's
I mean, it
crazy.
is what it is.
All right, so cool, guys. So you said Sky Wiz
He
had
said
a
what?
question. What was
He
the
said Mike.
question?
He said Mike. What's the tips in channeling your inner dog? Man, it's in you, not on you, man. Either you got it or you don't. Point
Bang!
blank period.
Bop!
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is. I can't really explain it. Either you do or you don't. You know what I mean? Either you're gonna be Jordan or you're gonna be Pippen.
All right, so we're gonna end it like that. So look, we appreciate everybody watching the show. Make
Hey,
sure
where
you
you
click
guys
us.
going to be at this weekend? I'm sorry, I know you want to end the damn show, but I want to know where you
Dang,
guys are going to be at this weekend.
man, just tell them. I don't care.
No gyms? In case you want to come say what's up.
Come
Say,
say come say hi to me
Yeah.
in Minnesota.
Holla at me in New York, man.
Look, so check it out. Really appreciate everybody. Next week we'll have another show on Tuesday, same time, unless Mark cancels on me. Same time, 8 p.m. Next Tuesday. Click and subscribe to the channel if you want to watch this while if you missed something, you want to listen to it tomorrow while you're on your drive on your way to work, 9 to 5. If you're on the plane, just download it, listen to it. It's okay. We're not that bad. My voice ain't that bad. Hopefully, it makes you excited. Um, but we will be in Minnesota this weekend. Let's have some fun. Let's buy some cards. Let's trade some cards. Let's sell some cards. Let's have some fun and meet some new people. Again, Coach Collision, Friday the 13th, 2024. This will be our first time doing two shows in 1 year. And we're going to end it just like this. A shout out to someone who worked at Coach Collision. Just like that. Just like that. Rest in peace, Steve Johnson, my cousin, one of my biggest supporters. Was there anytime I ever needed him. I wasn't going to get emotional. That's why I want to put that towards the end. But let's just say, he's always been there. Thank you.
Rest in peace, Steve.
Good night, y'all.